WCW is in my head. You stole it! You stole it! You got what I got! You got it! Fire me! I'm already fired! Fire me! I'm already fired! He's hot! He's spicy! He's green! Batista, I hope you're watching, because if you mess with me, I'm going to beat you up, just like I'm going to beat up Ponzi over here.
For over 10 years, the world's #1 source for professional wrestling news and information. And once again, here's your hosts, Damian Nelson, Frank Cosentino, and the man they call Meathead. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report. Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead, Dave Hero, and some stranger named the Kaz here live with us in the studio Monday night, June 1st, 2009.
Did you just say Frank's going to be giving people the stranger?
No. Frank's here. Frank,
Frank,
we've seen you, but we've missed you. All at the same time. How you been, buddy?
Possible. I'm doing well.
We'd like to thank everybody joining us here live at ESPNMilwaukee.com and all over southeastern Wisconsin, June 1st, 2009. What a show we have in store for you. We've got a preview of the Pro Wrestling Report draft, a preview of WWE Extreme Rules on pay-per-view, or should I say Judgment Day. We've got all kinds of discussion on the recent release of Mr. Kennedy from WWE, and we want to hear what you guys have to say. The number is 276-ESPN here in southeastern Wisconsin. Again, that's 276-ESPN, or all over the world at 1-800-990-ESPN, 1-800-990-ESPN. We are also streaming live at pwrshow.com, where the chatmosphere is live, and we have so many emails from viewers and listeners all over the world to get to this week. So firstly, let's talk about the Raw that was tonight, where a retired wrestler was in the main event.
Was that wait? Was that a main event, or was that just?
It's not a match.
No, it's well, isn't it the main if it's on the top of the card?
Not always.
No, not always.
No.
Was LT Bam Bam the main at WrestleMania 11?
Yeah, that was the main event at WrestleMania 11.
Yeah,
Ric Flair versus Randy Orton in a parking lot brawl that ended in the ring in this cage, which looked like it had been there all night. Well, it had been, but it looked like it never raised all night, including when Kofi Kingston became the United States champion, but we'll get to that in a minute. Ric Flair, guys, we talked about this while we were watching it live. He is a retired wrestler in an unsanctioned, seemingly unsanctioned match tonight on Raw. Your thoughts around the horn?
Well, he's a retired wrestler, but he's apparently signing a new contract with WWE since he's no longer part of Ring of Honor TV. So I guess that third divorce probably took its toll on him.
Somebody needs some money.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't blame him. I mean, heck, if
Ric Flair was getting paid $500,000 a year when he retired. And he said, I don't want to do this anymore because he had other outside interests going on.
He assumed he was going to make... Wow. He assumed...
That's the phone lines right now. We've got a call. We're not going to take it right away, but we've got a call.
He assumed that he was going to make more money, actually, with the...
I'm working on it. Just don't even look at it. Keep talking.
Here's the thing, though, is Flair did have a project in the works with Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, a reality TV show.
Right.
About with Rick and his son Reed, and obviously Reed's been in a lot of trouble with the law
Reed's
lately.
been occupied.
Yeah, he's been busy. So, that fire in the iron's not going to work. Iron in the fire's not going to work.
well, there's some fans that don't. Hey, it's Ric Flair. I get to see him one more time. And then there's the fans that go.
But he retired. He's retired.
Yeah, but
he got the greatest send-off in the business ever.
But
he's retired.
But like he said, they sended him off. He didn't send himself off.
No, that's just what he's saying now.
Of course.
He went on he was at the Ring of Honor taping just this past weekend, I believe, said goodbye, basically. Came in and said goodbye because basically he's screwing them so he can go back to WWE.
It's all about the payday.
Yeah, but Dave, he retired.
What do you think he's
We bought into the retirement. Meathead and I were there live. He retired.
Oh, wait.
That moment was given to us. He is
wrestler,
retired.
Not as an on-air performer.
And I agree with that completely, but he wrestled tonight. I don't care what you call it. He wrestled tonight.
Okay.
What do you think he's getting for? He's going to sign a new contract.
I'm sure it's going to be, at least six figures. At least.
Wow.
It's close to your contract, Frank.
He's getting there.
Well, here's the thing. It's not just that. It's the DVD sales, the action figures, the pay-per-view appearances.
But
it's all of it.
okay, now great, fine, Dave. Here's the challenge. No, I am, because this pisses me off, because he retired.
Right.
Now, what do we do now? What, is he going to retire again?
No,
is he going to get another great send-off?
No.
He's not going to wrestle.
He wrestled tonight.
It wasn't really a wrestling match.
You sound like me. You sound like me.
It's gonna be like what's his name, and Bischoff will get tossed in a dumpster and it'll just kind of end.
No. I mean, here's the thing.
Not Bischoff. Yeah, fire.
He's tight with the guy that calls the shots. So he's gonna have a spot.
And and again, Flair needs the money.
I don't know if it's fair to Flair, though.
Oh, of course it is. It's his decision.
No, what Damien was doing there, Dave, welcome to the show.
Rumble 92.
Damien was trying to do Rumble 92 and trying to throw in
the Bobby Heenan deal. I got
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, I'm not hot. I'm not hot.
I got a lot of heat last week, speaking of hot, for having the audacity to compare Don West to Bobby Heenan from these people who didn't even watch Sacrifice, who can't even speak to how good Don West was on that pay-per-view, and to see why I compared him to Bobby Heenan. But be that as it may, the topic at hand, Ric Flair wrestled tonight, and I don't agree with it at all.
Yeah, I don't know. Damien, by the way, Chatto's here. I'm going to throw to that. Somebody is already upset with you tonight and is wishing you have a heart attack. Now, that's not right.
Hey, my left ventricle has been hurting all night.
Yeah, it's because we taped TV earlier, and I got him again.
But I do have to agree with Damien that if he's on TV and he's like in a manager's role, or he's there because, they could sell an extra couple thousand tickets, at a live event, fine. But to actually have him in some type of a match, it's kind of like, we already said goodbye to you. And that does bother me to a point. It's like, well, what else can you give us that you haven't given us in the past?
You know what's really bothering, if you think about it? They got to bring back a guy they retired a year ago to help get Randy Orton over more as a heel.
But that's the reason. That's
a sad state of affairs, actually, for the product.
They retired a year ago to get to do that when they just released one of their most up and rising talents, Ken Kennedy, last Friday.
I agree.
But is it Ken Kennedy anymore?
Anderson.
Is it Ken Anderson? Kamikaze Ken.
Yeah, I remember that back in the
Kamikaze
day.
Ken.
Good old Midwest, not Midwest.
Mid-American. Pay attention to the product.
I'm wondering why Conan O'Brien is running. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. Again, the phone lines, 276-ESPN here in southeastern Wisconsin, 1-800-990-ESPN all over the world. I know what these people want to talk about on the phone, so let's go ahead and launch it. As I said a minute ago, Ken Kennedy, Ken Anderson, released from WWE last Friday in what was a shocking move that sent ripples through the business, because this man was just brought back with glory on Monday Night Raw. And then 4 days later, they release him with really no explanation, no reason. We're going to talk about some of those reasons, at least what's being speculated on out in the IWC, but we want to hear what you all have to say. So many comments have been made so far at pwrshow.com and the like about this shocking release. We want to hear what you guys have to say, and we'll start by taking phone calls from Joey in Milwaukee, Wisconsin on line 1. You are live on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Hey, guys, what's going on?
Hey, Joey.
I know I had two things I wanted to talk about. One was the Kennedy thing that we're starting out with. Bad choice. If you're gonna, I know Orton's shoulder's bad, and Kennedy did the move wrong, but there's no reason if that's the reason why he got let go. He is the top rising star right now. Don't you agree?
Oh yeah, hands down he is. But they talk about the suplex to Randy Orton. If you watch it, it's a perfect suplex.
It's a cop-out.
Yeah, he's not dumped on his head. He's not on his neck. It was perfectly flat.
It was well executed.
Yeah.
I thought so as well. The only thing I thought would be it was actually Orton's fault for not. If you watch it a lot, you kind of see Orton twist and land on his shoulder.
But moves are botched every show, every week.
Match.
And I find it difficult to accept that a guy is going to be released who has been pushed to the moon and big promos. He's coming back. It happens that night. And then 4 days later, he's released? That ain't it.
You know what I find pretty odd is, you read a lot of things online. There's always the backstage insiders whatsoever or not.
Right.
They said Randy Orton was all wrapped up in ice and stuff after the match last Monday night. Now, if he was really that beat up, if his neck and shoulders and back were bothering him that much, why would he do a quote-unquote street fight and then going to the cage with a guy that's, 60-some years old, Ric Flair?
Yeah, just a week later.
It just doesn't make
No,
any
it
sense.
doesn't. That doesn't. And
That glove don't fit.
No, not at all.
So that means you got to quit.
Thank you, Jackie.
I think, Ken Kennedy, Mr. Kennedy, Ken Anderson, just for him, wrong place, wrong time with certain people that, make decisions.
Joey from Milwaukee. Kennedy, obviously a big star in World Wrestling Entertainment, and unfortunately we didn't get a chance to see enough of him due to unfortunate injury situations. But if you had to make a pick, if you, the wrestling fan, had to make the choice, what is the next step for Kennedy that you want to see, Joey?
I'd say I'd do like Kennedy. If I was Kennedy, I'd do a few indie shows, just to kind of just have a little fun for a little while, maybe a couple months.
I gotta ask you a quick question here. Do you think it's fun to make maybe a tenth of what you were making before? I mean, because remember, and I hate to consistently bring this up, you guys, but this is a job. It's business. It's work.
Well, but it's his choice.
Right. But what I'm saying is, would it be fun to go out on the independent circuit? It may be fun to get a little bit closer to the fans, but is it fun to make a tenth of what you made before?
No, Meaty, you're a little off on there. I've talked to some guys that have been released that did their taxes, and after expenses on the indies, they made more than their last year, working for Vince.
And you're on
cash.
And you are right though, where they're going to get it hot. I mean, when they're hot, they're hot. If they're hot, just say they're hot, and they're going to make that money right away.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at guys like Al Snow and Scotty Tuhati and Kamala, who, by the way, will all be in Milwaukee June 12th.
Ironic segue, but go.
Yes. I mean, those guys are booked pretty much every weekend.
Right, and they have the choice. They might have another option. Do I want to go to Sacramento, California, or do I want to go to,
the Italian Community Center in Milwaukee?
Or right.
Yeah, that's
well,
where
you
they
want to
go.
come to Milwaukee.
You know what, Dave? I'm sorry. This is normally for Phenomenal, but here. There you go.
But it gives you the options. You're on your own schedule. Right. And if you're a name, you can maybe, I'll come for an extra something. And that can be done.
Well, they're called independent contractors, even when working in WWE, because it's better for WWE. No matter the crap they push saying it's better for the talent, it's better for WWE. But truly being an independent contractor is being able to book your own stuff, make your own decisions, own your own likeness, and do these shows all across the country. The question is, does it have long-term viability? Meaning, is it going to sustain a lifestyle for a number of years?
Well, look at guys like Honky Tonk Man.
I got my hair split. I like to look at it.
He's been doing
I got the long sideburns.
You can make money on the indies as long as you do it the right way. Sell your 8x10s, your T-shirts, your gimmicks, that whole kind of thing, and you can do really well. There's a lot of guys that have made a big living on the indies. And I'm sure, after the 90 days are up, I know Ken has, a bunch of different options. I'm sure he's going to want to go. For me, it's a no-brainer. I'm sure TNA will be calling, but, indie shows will be lining up for him as well, too.
Well, I think it's very interesting in who broke the story first. And that was Jeremy Borash. Jeremy Borash on his Twitter account is the first person who broke the story on Kennedy being released from WWE, and of course that's very telling. Now, and again, we've got a lot of comments, and we'll go through those in a minute, but, that's the assumption nowadays. When one person leaves one company, whether it be WWE or TNA, they're automatically going to the other company. But again, there's so many more facets of the business that they can participate in, whether it be conventions, whether it be those independent shows, whether it be just laying low and resting on your laurels for a little while. All those things are options. So I don't think anything's a given when it comes to this situation. But here, and thank you so much for your call, Joey from Milwaukee, but here's the interesting thing. It doesn't make any sense. And, Dave, you may have alluded to it earlier. This guy was out for a while. You saw all the promos for weeks saying Kennedy returns. Kennedy's coming back. He comes back, cuts a hot promo against Orton.
It wasn't
It's
100% hot.
In my opinion, it was.
We talked about this pre-show. There were some.
Okay. How many people, though, when you hear that Ken Kennedy's coming back?
Oh, I jumped up.
How many But how many people actually thought his first main promo, as they say,
would be in the main mix?
Would be with Randy Orton.
Mm-hmm.
That was a surprise.
And you're
so
putting.
they had plans for him.
Exactly. That's what this whole situation looks really bad, in my opinion, at WWE. You're bringing him out. You have him against Orton. You're thinking, or at least I'm thinking, okay, here's your match here for the next at least 2 pay-per-views if you want it. And now it's, you're gone. It just looks bad.
Well, didn't they need Kennedy? To be flat honest with you, just the bottom line.
Yeah, you need
Did WWE not need Kennedy?
I think it was the perfect spot.
It was a perfect spot for him, but they just needed someone.
They need a strong babyface besides Batista and John Cena.
Right.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Because,
And like I said, I loved coming back. I literally was standing on my feet the moment we got back. You guys know that. I mean, if there besides Santino, there's one guy that I jump up and listen to every time he's on the TV, and every time he's wrestling, whatever, I'm right there. But like I said, there were some gaps.
Oh, and here was the interesting thing. Upon the release, the IWC went wild with the fact that his wrist was injured because they don't know the difference between a cell and a real injury.
Mm-hmm.
And, we kept pushing for all the weekend and leading up to this show. He ain't injured. It was obviously just working in the match. Ain't injured, but he got injured again. He's injury prone. That's why they released him. Good job. They should have released him. He's always hurt. Honestly, folks, this was bizarre. This is bizarre. There has to be much more to this than is meeting the eye.
Now, keep this in mind for those of you that ever want to get into the wrestling business. At any point, unless you know someone, you could be gone, just like that.
Well, yeah,
and that's unfortunate because from what we're hearing, looks like it's just a wrong place, wrong time kind of thing for Kennedy.
And
but
wrong
at any,
people, perhaps,
at any
too.
point, if you're thinking of getting into the wrestling business, unless you make it big and keep your nose clean or whatever the situation is, just your career could be gone just like that.
So, you know what? What's interesting is they say Ken Kennedy is injury prone. I don't know about you, but John Cena's been out quite a bit with injuries.
Oh, absolutely.
Recently.
Oh, how dare you, Dave?
I mean,
how dare you?
Batista.
How dare you?
Rey Mysterio. How many times has he been, gone under the knife? Everyone gets hurt.
Triple H.
Triple H.
It's the business. It's generally, this is what they do. They're going to get hurt. Now, John Cena, his great run, we talked about this actually when we made John Cena the PWR Wrestler of the Year for 2007.
Oh, we didn't do it.
As voted on by you,
the Peeps did it.
But, I mean, we talked about his incredible run, which, then he got injured. Then he got injured again. I mean, it's going to happen eventually. These guys take a massive amount of abuse to their bodies.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead, the Kaz, and Dave Hero. We're live Monday night, June 1st, 2009. Happy Mother's Day.
What? You're late.
Nobody got that.
Where
Meathead
are
probably
you?
did.
I did get it. Where are you?
I'm in Milwaukee in the ESPN studios. Jerk. Thank you so much for joining us all over the world. We're also streaming live at pwrshow.com. You can call us and join us on the phone lines at number 276-ESPN or all over the world at 1-800-990-ESPN. The topic of the hour, the topic of the week, WWE's bizarre release of one of their best superstars, Ken Kennedy. We've got the phone lines are lighting up. The chatmosphere is lighting up. Frank Cosentino, go ahead.
No, what was the official announcement?
Future endeavors. No
yes,
reason.
he got the one-liner. One-liner.
You know what? It wasn't really even.
It was.
Yeah, they posted it on WWE.com.
They did?
Yeah, that was the only really acknowledgement. And then ran commercials all weekend talking about his return.
And then, obviously, for those that don't know, here in the Milwaukee area, on Universal 532 on Time Warner Cable, they air Raw, SmackDown, ECW. Of course, that whole thing aired all over again.
Here's the question. All right, now, again, I said bizarre. If you're going to release a guy, if you're even considering releasing a guy, because I ain't going to buy for one moment that it was one act on Raw this past Monday night that made it made the decision happen, because that just doesn't make any sense. But if you're going to release a guy, why would you elevate him so much? Why would you make all this noise about him and then let him go? It just doesn't make any sense.
You know what?
It doesn't make any sense.
Here's the thing.
Chewbacca was a Wookiee.
Here's the thing. For him, he's in actually the most perfect situation as far as being a guy that's released.
Mm-hmm.
You bring him back as the mystery fifth guy in the 10-man.
Right.
You have him go out there and cut a promo on Randy Orton saying, I'm going to take your title. And then the last time the fans see him on Raw, his hand is being raised with John Cena, Batista, MVP, and Jerry Lawler. And he's the guy in the middle of everybody.
But here's the thing. Here's the question. Is it that ugly WWE arrogance again, which is they elevated this guy, obviously, specifically last Monday night on Raw. And is it that arrogance saying, all right, well, we can release them and then, do what they do, which is screw everybody by saying you can't work anywhere, do anything for 90 days until, you go anywhere else or even appear anywhere else, and think that he can't threaten them anywhere else, which is just complete crap.
Well, you know what? His 90 days, if you do the math, it looks like it'll be over by September 1st.
Right.
Now in October, there's another pretty big pay-per-view with TNA. You know, it's like
I've heard of it.
WrestleMania.
I've heard of it.
Bound for Glory. What a perfect scenario for Mr. Anderson to show up there.
He doesn't
Kamikaze.
Doesn't have to wrestle. Just kind of pub that he's, could show up or will show up for that matter. So
how about a little build-up before the show, maybe leading into it?
Well, if September 1st is the 90-day mark, you got all month of September to promote it with the vignettes. And you bring.
Well, you can put on vignettes whenever. Obviously, you can put a weatherman on for 6 months without with a bag over his head, like they did here in Milwaukee.
You could do that.
That would be the logical step for most wrestlers.
Is the wrestling business logical, Frank?
Well, no, but I mean, you want to get back on TV if that's his choice.
Right. Well,
TNA would make the most sense.
Let's just say I talked to some people that are in TNA, and they're very interested in talking to Mr. Anderson.
But would he
Anderson.
be interested in going there?
I believe only he can answer that.
I think so. Why not?
Well, you never know. You never know. I mean, some people.
Well, if you want to be in the business, if you want to be mainstream in the business, you're in one of two companies, WWE or TNA right now.
Or Japan. You can go to Japan for a little while.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, here's the question I want to pose to each of you. Has there been a more bizarre release in professional wrestling than that we were exposed to last week with the release of Kennedy? And while you think about it, let's go to the phone lines. We've got Steve let's go to Alex from Minneapolis on line 3. Alex, you're live on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Hey guys, doing?
Great.
Alex, what's popping?
Hey, so I got one thing about Kennedy and then two things on Flair, if that's all right.
Okay.
The thing on Kennedy is that I could see WWE either realizing that he's injury prone, or somebody getting in their ear and kind of setting him up for failure, because they didn't have to bring Kennedy back. They could have brought Triple H back for one night as that fifth guy for that main event. I think they were waiting for him to screw up in a match or have a bad performance, and then they had a reason to get rid of him, because whether or not he was liked backstage or if.
But historically, what you do before you're going to release somebody is you bury him.
Yeah, why would you build up a
opposite.
guy? Yeah, why would you build up a guy? Let me ask you this. Why would you build up a guy, bring him out there, with this, we're talking hot promo. Again, it wasn't perfect, like I've said before. There was some spots, but, a hot promo, enough to, build up some steam for the main event, and all of a sudden,
right.
Gone.
Right.
If you look at that promo, it looks like they're setting up Randy Orton versus Ken Kennedy maybe sometime by SummerSlam.
Well, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt at all. That's the complete impression you got from
And
that.
then, of course, when they run spots all week on USA, about his big return to Raw, they had plans for him.
Yeah.
Something funky went. I don't want to call it like the Montreal screw job.
no.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's something funky about the whole thing.
I can see your guys' exactly how that could be. I just been wondering who got in whose ear to make that choice to
We'll have to
cut
go
him.
to the grassy knoll to get that answer, potentially. Alex, if you want to stay on hold, you can. We got to take a timeout. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
For over 10 years, the world's #1 source for professional wrestling news and information. And once again, here's your hosts, Damian Nelson, Frank Cosentino, and the man they call Meathead. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report, as you just heard on 540 ESPN, ESPNMilwaukee.com, and streaming live at PWRshow.com, where we've got the message board and the chatmosphere. Hot topic this week. Phone lines are blowing up. Chatmosphere is blowing up. WWE releases Ken Kennedy, Ken Anderson last Friday. I'm still confused. Meathead, what are the fans saying out in the chatmosphere?
Chatosphere. They're saying, they're not saying a lot of good things. Apparently, Miz better than Kennedy. There's one thing that I don't understand about the Chatosphere or the IWC or whatever, we're going to call them. For example, Spunky Southern Angel. I'm not shocked that Kennedy got released. I got to turn my refresh off. I'm not shocked that Kennedy got released because, and I got to go back to it. Very few things shock me anymore in wrestling, but I agree it doesn't make sense because it seems they were going to give him a big push against Orton. What I don't understand is the ones that will say that Kennedy's injury prone. We just talked about that a second ago. Guys take
There's a laundry list of guys that have been hurt.
Yeah, a tremendous.
Dave, you made an excellent point, especially with Cena, with Batista.
Mm-hmm.
Even Rey Mysterio.
Correct.
You know,
that's been the general consensus
Undertaker.
out
How
there.
many
The
times
fans,
has he had to
he's
take
out
time
right
off?
now. Just had surgery.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are saying you can't tell people something sometimes.
You know what it is?
and-
That's what they're going to say because they have nothing else to say.
Yeah.
You know, and
Well, everybody's an expert.
everybody, even us.
I'm a
Has
mark.
there
I'm not
been-
an expert. I'm a mark.
Has there been a more bizarre release situation in wrestling? Let's not just take it to WWE. In wrestling at all that either of you can recall? We'll start with you, Dave.
Maybe Kurt Angle, when he was released or quit or whatever it was.
It was a combination,
It
though.
was sudden. It was
Sudden.
surprising.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he got the best of WWE in that scenario.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course.
The weirdest one that I saw really didn't matter as much, but it was Braden Walker. The guy shows up. He was on TV a couple
Who?
times.
Right.
Exactly.
About
but,
a minute.
But we knew who he was. But WWE dragged their feet on him, so he had no steam coming in at all.
Do you know what I will
Chris
say?
Harris was in,
You
and he was
you
out.
cannot put Ken Kennedy in.
No.
in
But what
Braden
I'm saying,
Walker.
no. You're asking what
Situation.
I thought was weird.
Situation.
The situation.
But here's one thing that has been persistent amongst the comments from the internet wrestling community. Boycott WWE. I'm done with Raw. Now that Kennedy's gone, I'm not watching anymore. Those comments have been prevalent in all of the comments that we've gotten reference this situation. Nearly 200 emails and comments about this situation just since Friday evening. And the consensus has been, we're done. This was it. People are fed up now with WWE. This could be that proverbial last straw because they just don't get it, and it doesn't make sense to the fans out there. And I talked about the arrogance of WWE lately. They think, and this is true to a degree, everybody wants to be there, and if they're not there, they're nobody.
Well, it's the general consensus among any wrestler. The WWE is the show.
I
Even though,
don't think
no,
so.
No. Even though TNA may have the place where you want to work at today, are you not telling me that every wrestler does not dream of working WrestleMania?
Oh, everyone. does, of course.
Exactly. Even
I'll
being
use
the main
AJ Styles as a great example. I asked him personally when we did an interview with him, why didn't you go to WWE? And he gave all the reasons why he didn't, because he had that chance. He could have done it. His heart is in TNA. That's the only place he wants to be. He likes his schedule, likes what TNA can become, likes what TNA is, and didn't want to become a small fish in a big pond, or a big fish, rather, in a big
would
pond.
have been CM Punk light.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly. But AJ Styles would have never gotten to that spot. AJ Styles has a great spot. He's a big fish in a small pond compared to the small fish in a big pond. So I don't think that's why
Is AJ Styles really a big fish in a small pond?
I think TNA currently right now is the smaller pond. If you're comparing
No.
it,
I'm saying, but is he really a big fish in TNA?
he's the company guy.
I don't know.
Just because he's not in the main event title picture right now, he's
in the main events right now. But
Let's go to the
still
phone
the big
line.
guy in
We've
the
got
company.
line one. We'll go back to line three in a little while. We've got line one, Steve from Heartland. Steve, your comments on the release of Kennedy from WWE. Steve from Heartland, line one. Looks like we lost Steve. Let's go to Tom from Chicago on line two. Tom, your thoughts on WWE's release of Kennedy?
First of all, for all the people that said they're not going to watch anymore because he's not there, I think they're full of crap because he's been around for 5.5, 6 years, and he's only been on TV for about a minute. And I don't know how anyone could
Gimmick
be marked to
infringement.
this guy because he does that stupid microphone trick. I mean, he's never around. He's always injured. And if you compare him to Undertaker or Triple H and Rey Mysterio for being injured, that's ridiculous because he's not even.
It certainly isn't ridiculous. Look it up. Look it up, Tom. I'm challenging you on this. Look it up.
How long
Undertaker
has
has been
that
more
been
injured than not lately. Rey Mysterio was out for a very long time. Batista's been out more than I can remember over the last few months and the last couple of years. I think the comparison can certainly be made. Now, we saw Kennedy for a long run. Remember, he had the money in the bank. He had that opportunity at a championship match, got injured. We saw him come back this week, not injured, as everybody's saying he is. He wasn't injured last Monday night on Raw.
If you were to go to his Facebook page, which
Mm-hmm.
he is now on Facebook, which maxed out over 5,000 friends
In a day.
In a day.
So he's no longer accepting friends?
Well, not right now, but you can be one.
You can be a fan.
But you can be a Ken Anderson fan. On
Also,
there.
while you're there, sign up for Frank Cosentino if you're not a Cosentino fan. But go ahead, Dave.
He shows a video of himself,
Playing with his wrist.
violently shaking
Yeah.
both of his wrists. And if he was really hurt, I don't think he'd be doing that.
That's
and
what
Tom,
wrestlers
Tom,
do, by the way.
I have to agree with you. Tom, I have to agree with you. These people saying that, they're certainly going to, they tuned in tonight to Raw. There's no doubt. There's always, when somebody says never, I'm never going to do that, I'm never going to watch again, they're going to be the first ones tuning in next time. So I agree with you on that point. That is moot. It certainly isn't the case. But I think if you look at the reasoning a lot of people are assuming this was, which was due to injury, and you look at some of the other people that have had more time out for injuries, I think that comparison can be made.
Well, one other thing. I think Mr. Kennedy should have, in 2007, when he said, "Oh, I don't do steroids. No one here does steroids," right after Chris Benoit, and then he got cut. That definitely should have been it, because he was injured all the time even then.
Well,
there was a lot of controversy surrounding a lot of his comments. There's no doubt about that.
Though, let's be honest. He did say it. It was it was a bad call no matter what. But Hulk Hogan was on Arsenio Hall. Said he never took steroids.
Brother.
Of course. A lot of the guys have said that. You look at the guys on TV today, they're on something. It may not be steroids, but they're on something because you know what? They just can't keep that size. Everyone, that's just what it is.
And
here's no Hulk Hogan is my point.
No, but what I'm saying is,
but he's in the business.
But
and
Hulk Hogan said he wasn't on steroids. Also, it doesn't make a difference if you're Hulk Hogan or Ken Kennedy or Jose Canseco or A-Rod. If you say you're not on it, but then you find out that you are, it's still the same thing.
And here's one thing a lot of people fail to understand, and it's unfortunate. You have to, whether you want to or not, sometimes you don't have a choice but to toe the company line and say what the company wants you to say. That doesn't mean that person believes it or even that they're telling the truth. General Motors filed bankruptcy. Half the stuff they're telling us today, probably not true. They're simply lip-servicing all of us. That's what happens when you're in the business. We got a lot of heat. We got a lot of heat for all these TNA interviews.
You're hot.
Why are you always doing interviews with TNA? We got turned down last week by WWE for an interview request because they don't work with shows like this. What we told the line, we told the company line, we certainly give equal time to TNA because they work with us. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what you have to do. It's a business decision that has to be made, and I think a lot of times, a lot of these sports figures, what they say, because you go across other sports and you see other people who have spoken mistruths about their use of substances, I think that you just get into a situation where you're forced to say things that are not true. I just think that happens. Tom from Chicago, thank you so much for that phone call. Let's continue and go back to Alex from Minneapolis, who had a couple more points to make about Ric Flair on line 3.
Hey guys, just to talk about the main event tonight. The first thing is I can't figure out why Flair would leave Ring of Honor, where he was helping getting that promotion exposure.
I have an answer for it if you're ready.
Huh?
I have an answer for it if you're ready.
Okay, but hold
Money.
on.
He wasn't
That's
ready.
That's true. But he came back to WWE to look like that.
It's not about how he looks. It's about if he gets things paid for.
Okay.
You gotta understand. It's business. It's life.
I'm just trying to understand. I'm just trying to understand why he would leave Ring of Honor to look like that at the end of the Raw, and then also, how does that promote Batista versus Randy Orton?
No way, shape, or form.
You're right on that one.
You saw the heartfelt moment they had at the end of Raw, face to face between the cage. Again, we posted in the chat.
John put him out of retirement, and Batista was like, they had one match and that was it.
Yeah.
And now Batista wants to kill Randy Orton. Like to me, it doesn't make sense.
We asked in the Chatmosphere during Raw, how many people is this making want to buy Extreme Rules this Sunday on pay-per-view? Resounding no is what we got.
Not I, said the Fly.
Go to a blast zone area. Watch it there.
No.
Well, Alex, thank you very much for calling. Thank you for your patience as well. Interesting discussion. Let's go to some of the comments we got via email at pwrshow.com and on our YouTube page. Reference Kennedy being released from WWE. And I would have to say that one of the, as we talk about bizarre situations, I think the Bret Hart thing and the lack of the internet news at the time, the lack of the knowledge of what was going on behind the scenes at the time, I think that was bizarre as well because you really didn't know SummerSlam or Survivor Series 97 what the heck was going on. You knew something was weird because that was probably the quickest into a pay-per-view we've ever seen. You knew something was weird, but you really didn't know what was going on. So, Meathead, Chatmosphere.
Chatosphere, if you're going to call it right. Basically, I have to throw to you, Damon. They're like, dude, you're hot. And if he's hot, Dave, say he's hot.
You know what? I am ticked off. To be honest with you, I am completely ticked off because I'm ticked off at the lack of...
dead sexy.
Oh, I'm that too. Ticked off at the people who just don't get it out there, who are just continuing to say, this guy's injury prone, he was injured, that's why they released him, blah, 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 blah. And this release actually upsets me because it just doesn't make any sense. And I don't like how they hold people hostage. I don't like how when a person is released and it's not their choosing, that they're held hostage, as Taz referenced in his latest post. He's on a prison sentence right now. In 90 days where you can't even work. You can't even earn a living.
Unfortunately, that's a TV entertainment deal thing. I mean, because it happens in radio, it happens in TV.
And they signed the contract indicating such. I get it. I understand.
Well, it's because it's in the contract. You have no choice but
to
sign it.
It's part of the language in there.
A couple of those comments and emails, the user by the name of, that's explicit, said, what the hell? There were a number of others they should have released before him, especially for a lame reason like that. This was referenced to a lot of the rumors going on about a botched move with Randy Orton. And he goes on to say, they were apparently pushing him towards movies, too, and everything. It just makes no sense.
Well, you know what? Going back to the movie, if you look at it, they stuck, $5 or $6 million in this movie, Beyond Enemy Lines.
It was a straight-to-DVD
And
release.
they didn't do nothing for it.
We talked about that when the movie came out, Dave.
They did nothing for it. I don't know. For me, I'm not a guy about conspiracies, whatever else. I just don't feel that the company has ever gotten behind Ken since his first big run.
User by the name of The Undertaker 07478 says, you guys are stupid for releasing Kennedy in such short notice, and I had been waiting patiently for his return. WWE drops the ball again, 2 exclamation points and all caps.
When he did post that video on his Facebook, it's also on ken-kenny.com. But, there's a lot of things that, I'm sure that are going to be popping up in the next couple of weeks or days or months, whatever else. Ken Kennedy does have a Twitter page also. Mm-hmm. It's Second Power. And definitely sign up for that to get updates.
Tweets, huh?
He tweets. He's a tweeter.
Another
Second
comment.
Power, Damien.
Trishy is hot. And I quote, and apparently they had plans on giving Kennedy a title shot at some point soon. I'm not trying to blame anyone here, but I have a feeling that Big Nose must be returning soon. And he wouldn't exactly want to be overshadowed by a potential that would be a breath of fresh air in an already stale/repetitive main event scene. There's only so much of Orton, Big Nose, Batista, Cena, anyone can take before he gets unbelievably boring, and we're already at that stage, unfortunately. Does that sum it up, boys?
Well, yeah. Now let's see. Triple H has been gone since when?
Triple H left after the boot.
Okay, so that's been what now? 4 or 5 weeks now?
The Backlash, I think it was.
Okay, so normally when a guy like Triple H takes time off, it's to try to take some other younger star and elevate him so they mean something.
Mm-hmm. Now, is this where Kennedy should have been in? The spot where Triple H would have been in until Triple H came back.
You would have to think that they were going to have a program with Orton and Kennedy after the Batista match. Something would have gone on there. And you know what? And I think fans would have gotten into that because now it's 2 younger guys. It's something new.
Which is something they're trying to do right now. You've got John Morrison going up against Shelton. You've got MVP and Kofi.
Nobody cares about Shelton.
But that's what I'm saying. They're trying to do that. You got the Miz. Says he's 5-0, 6-0 against John Cena. They're trying to put these guys out there, and I don't know. Damien is literally so hot right now, folks. He is rocking back and forth in his chair. That is how hot he is.
A bit of trivia. Jesse Ventura, if you ever watched him when he did commentary, he never sat still. He rocked back and forth in his chair for the entire broadcast. Let's continue on to the phone lines. Let's go back to line 1. We've got Steve from Heartland, Wisconsin. Steve, your thoughts on WWE's release of Kennedy?
Well,
Kennedy.
I think that if Randy Orton wanted to get some more heat as a heel, he got some because he certainly got some from me if the reports are true. I didn't think that it was the best time to do it. Why would they do it? I agree with you. It makes absolutely zero sense. As far as when's the last time there was a surprising release like that, I would think the last time in recent memory that I can think of would
probably Matt Hardy with the whole Edge and Lita thing.
Mm-hmm.
That'd probably be my last.
He was a scapegoat.
thought.
Yeah,
but,
that was.
but there was a real reason for that.
Yeah.
Well,
you know?
right. I understand that, but I mean, as far as it was still kind of surprising. To me, it was. I mean, I understood the whole thing with Hardy and Lita and Edge, but it was still, I mean, that wasn't, projected on television at all. So, well, it was later, but it wasn't at the time being. So I guess that would be what I had to say about that. And two other quick things I wanted a quick comment about Kennedy. One, I thought Kofi and MVP had a fantastic match tonight. And two, I like the Edge Regal tag team that they got going on. And three, in TNA, I absolutely
You say Edge, I think you said Matt Hardy and Regal, right?
What's that?
Is that what you were getting at, Matt Hardy Regal?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hardy
I thought
Regal.
you said Edge. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Hardy and Regal. I absolutely love that tag team. And finally, I absolutely 100% loved the Eric Young heel turn. I thought that was great. Absolutely fantastic. So thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, Steve, for calling in. Let's continue on the phone lines. Line 2, Mike from my second favorite city, Orlando, Florida, the MCO.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Not much. First of all, to answer you guys' question on the most bizarre release from WWE, I'd have to say the one that comes to mind is when WWE released Rick Rude towards the mid-'90s, and he appeared on Raw and Nitro at the exact same time. Kind of bizarre.
Well, you know what? He wasn't released. He actually quit. That was right after the whole Montreal screw job, and he had enough, and
Well, it was still
he
pretty
stuck it to
bizarre.
the man.
Yeah, but that was still pretty bizarre seeing the same guy on two shows at the same time.
Agreed. Mm-hmm.
As far as the Kennedy situation, you guys are right. None of this makes sense. I mean, even if you don't know anything about business or anything as far as the company, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to think that if you're going to release somebody, you don't just release them. You keep them off TV, you write them out, and then you release them.
A la Jericho in WCW, the way they just kind of buried him.
No, but you just keep them off TV for a couple weeks, find some reason, and then let him go. That way the fans kind of forget about him themselves.
But they know they got 90 days in the bank that they can screw whoever they release.
True. I think.
And again, maybe I'm taking too far aside of the talent. I see from WWE's perspective, from a business perspective, how that 90-day no-compete makes a lot of sense. But there have been cases. Look at Vince Russo. He got released or quit and went right to WCW. Kurt Angle, another great example. They didn't do a 90-day, went right to TNA. So it certainly works in WWE's favor. But I mean,
but if you don't want the guy, then who cares?
Exactly. Exactly.
You know what? How they mentioned about how Ken was released because of the botched suplex with Randy Orton. I believe a year and a half ago, some guy dropped Randy Orton over the top rope outside the ring, broke his collarbone.
Oh, Big Nose.
Yeah.
That's what someone referred to him as.
Yeah.
Pretty funny. Triple H, yeah, you're
and of
exactly
course,
right.
he's into the family. He's married. He's got two of the grandkids, and he's not going anywhere. But that was a legitimate botch.
Yep. Great point. Mike from Orlando, how's the OBT?
I haven't been there in a few days, but
A few days? Do you go shopping on the OBT?
April 22nd, 3 o'clock p.m. That was the last time I was on OBT. I remember. I love the OBT. Man, first place I really saw live hookers. But I
got to tell you real quick, Damien we slowed down to take pictures.
Oh, yeah. Let's go to line 3. Brad, calling from a cell phone. You're on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, what's up, Brad?
I'm good. Like I said, I probably agree with you guys on this Candy release is completely stupid. It makes no sense. I see no point in it. I was a huge Candy fan, and retarded.
If you were Ken's booking agent, if you had to make the decisions, if you were his manager, what next step would you make for Mr. Kennedy?
Probably what you guys say, Bound for Glory, TNA.
I think it's a natural fit. He's the guy. TNA's looking for a fresh, young babyface, new babyface.
Right.
He's the guy. Not Raven, not Taz, not Shane Douglas.
No.
And there is legitimate interest there from TNA already.
Why would there not be? I mean, really, that should be a given. Brad, thank you so much for calling in here to the Pro Wrestling Report. Again, we're live Monday night, June 1st, 2009. The big topic of the week, the big topic of this show is WWE's bizarre release of Ken Anderson, formerly known as Ken Kennedy. We've got another comment from the Pro Wrestling Report I almost said, God blessed.
Universe?
I almost said that. Like, without even, from the Internet Wrestling community, the PWR community out there. User EEFan0 says, Mr. Kennedy released? What the heck? He has just only returned from injury. I also hope he gets rehired. Kennedy is valuable to the company. He has to come back. If he's definitely staying released, where is he going? TNA? This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
Time! It's time! It's Vader time!
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN, ESPNMilwaukee.com, and PWRShow.com. Stevie and Nelson, the man they call Meathead, and Dave Hero, and an absent Kaz. Kaz couldn't give us 5 more minutes. We tried.
And we were doing
He's like the velvet fog rolling in here every now and again. But anyways, we've been talking a lot about your comments about WWE's release of Kennedy, a lot of speculation out there as to why this bizarre release took place. And you can call us, folks, and talk about your thoughts. The number 276-ESPN here in southeastern Wisconsin, or 1-800-990-ESPN all over the world. Also, the chatmosphere at PWRShow.com is all the way live and blowing up. We came back with Vader's music, and Kennedy's from Green Bay, or the Green Bay area, rather. And I got to think back to a time when I was in Green Bay at a Raw. It was actually 1996, the Ultimate Warrior's last WWE show. And Vader, we were in the parking lot. He comes driving up to me and my buddy Brian, and he goes, blah, blah. He asked us where you can get a beer. Now, we knew they didn't sell them at that time, but we still sent them to the gas station. So he's driving away. He goes, hey, what time is it? My buddy Brian goes, oh, about 11:15. It took me too long to deliver that.
That's all right.
Let's go to somebody who is entertaining. Let's go to Bowman from Boston on line 1. You're live on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
What's going on, guys?
Bowman, what's popping?
Awesome. So I got a few things to talk about.
Okay.
First and foremost, the Kennedy release. I know it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but if we remember correctly, we saw this 2 years ago. They did the same thing in the Crime Time. They all of a sudden got released, and they were back in 6 months.
But we had a viable reason, and you're right. They did bring him back. It was actually at the Raw after WrestleMania. They brought him back. We knew that they had gotten into a bit of a tiff with, I believe it was
Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch at a house
Cade,
show.
Yeah.
It was at a house show.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think this is going to be the same thing. He's going to be gone for a certain amount of time before they bring him back. I always call it WWE. They send you home without pay, make you go sit in the corner, and if you're a good boy for about 6 months, they bring you back.
But Bowman, he's got to want to go back. Do you think he wants to go back after being screwed?
Doesn't matter if you want to go to WWE or not. It's about what's the best thing for you and your family. And if WWE,
you know what though? But there's been guys like Christian, that turned down more money and went to TNA.
Yeah, but I think Christian's move to TNA was more of the fact that he can move up the ladder as far as, where he stood in the company.
It was more strategic, and it was
exactly.
It was the right time for him to do what he did. Mm-hmm. I think with the internet buzz, with that's going to be going on with it for a while, I'm pretty sure that Kennedy's going to be back. I think WWE pays attention to internet a lot more than what fans give him credit for.
Or the WWE will ever admit to.
No, because they make an encyclopedia like Wikipedia's not around.
Well, whether it be back to WWE or to TNA or even Ring of Honor, do you not think that the wrestling world is going to be waiting for Kennedy to resurface?
Oh, definitely. Come around August, September, October, he's going to be the biggest buzz in wrestling. Going to be the biggest buzz in wrestling unless he gets
bigger than the Jericho buzz when he was on his way back.
Probably around the same level, but bigger. Probably bigger.
The only problem with the Jericho buzz is that it was a disappointment when he came back
because of the buzz.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to September 1st. I think Mr. Kennedy is going to be down at the Impact Zone in Orlando.
I got to get down there again.
Yeah, I think that's a great fit for him.
And I honestly think if he does end up in TNA, that is the one big face that they'll finally have that they could slap the name TNA on. That can
But you know what, though, Bowman, I got to ask you this. A lot of fans have said, in the chatmosphere especially, and a lot of people have said in the past, that TNA is nothing more than a place for people who can't be in WWE anymore. Now, we've debunked that ourselves here, but your thoughts on that, because many of the people there now, Kurt Angle, Booker T especially, made the choice. Kevin Nash as well made the choice to be in TNA, so they weren't cast-offs by WWE, as a lot of people assume. They made the choice to go to
Christian just
TNA.
proved this wrong. Didn't Christian just prove this wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And then no one's paying attention, although Christian somehow being buried in ECW as ECW champion and not getting over, apparently, to the internet. But anyway.
And by the way, it wasn't a tiff with Crime Time. They actually got upset with the referee and hit their finisher on the referee at a house
and
show.
didn't let the referee know that the finisher was coming.
It was happening. Yeah, and I remember reading the whole story. And my next thing is, I called 4 weeks ago Orton was going to kick Flair in the head.
Hey, you called it. You called it, Bowman.
They stretched it out for far too long, but he was going to kick him in the head. We all knew it was coming. And it didn't. I'm glad it kicked him in the head, but it's not going to get me to go watch him fight Batista.
No. And we asked the question for the Chatosphere, and we asked the question over the air, and now we're going to ask you, did what you saw on Raw tonight make you want to pay for the Extreme Rules match?
No, but it's, you know what, it's a gimmick pay-per-view. That's what it is. It's just like Lockdown. It's a gimmick pay-per-view. The gimmick is what sells. It doesn't really matter what they do on the next 4 weeks before it. It's a gimmick pay-per-view. That's what it is. It sells based on its gimmick.
But what is the one match on this pay-per-view that you haven't already seen?
None.
Well,
really.
You haven't seen the pig pen or hog pen match.
Well,
you ain't paying to watch that.
No, but every match you've seen. And as far as the hog pen match goes, Triple H versus Henry Godwin.
Yeah, basically.
Right? That's been done before, you know. But yeah, I mean, there isn't one match. I mean, as much as I wasn't a big fan of Mick Foley versus Sting, at least that match took another 15 years to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, no, definitely. Oh, and by the way, for all these people, and I'm calling Damien out on this, all these people all of a sudden jumping on the Miz when 3 years ago you were burying him when he got voted in.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I buried him. I couldn't bury him. I buried him more than JBL did, I think.
And I sat here and said Miz is more popular than John Morrison, easily because he's known to casual fans outside of wrestling. He's known.
Miz has done a hell of a job. He's come a long way.
That's why they put him on Raw versus putting him on SmackDown. He's a known face outside of wrestling. Known.
Bowman, great point as usual.
Bowman, call us all on it because, I thought the Miz was the Drizzlins too.
Bowman, thank you so much for calling in. Right now at PWRshow.com, a lot of people have talked about this suplex that was botched. The reason that Kennedy was released is because he hurt Randy Orton. Well, you can watch that suplex, that particular move, right now at PWRshow.com, and you will see Orton land flat on his back in that suplex. And you make the decision yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. That's in the news section at PWRshow.com. You can see that move. It's probably the most talked about move in wrestling right now. And let's continue on the phone lines. Let's go to line two. We've got Shane from Lexington, Kentucky. Shane, you're live on the Pro Wrestling Report. Looks like we lost Shane on line 2. Let's go to line 3. We've got Aaron on a cell phone.
Hey there.
Hey, Aaron. What's happening?
I'm Aaron Proctor on the PWR show boards there. I've been watching you guys for the past couple of weeks. I'm loving your show. And I just want to say that the thing that hurts me the most about Kennedy is that his release and all is that Kennedy to me was the most interesting person, the character that the WWE came up with in years. And
I think the best part, though, Aaron, was it's not the character that they came up with. They have this guy that is that character. I mean, they stuck a name to it, but...
Well, here, another thing, too.
Understood.
A lot of people have said that they see a lot of Steve Austin in Ken Kennedy.
Yeah, exactly. I stopped buying wrestling action figures years before, and when I kept waiting for when are they going to come out with Kennedy? When are they going to come out with Kennedy? And they finally came out with Kennedy, and they came out with a couple versions after, and I kept buying them because I was just like, wow, this is my new guy. Like, this is my new favorite wrestler, and I'm just kind of disappointed. Just as a fan, I mean, not necessarily, one of the smart fans or whatever, but just as a fan, I'm really disappointed that he's gone and he's going to have to go to TNA and have to be Mr. Anderson or whatever they're going to call him. It's not going to be the same for me. And I just feel really gypped that WWE wouldn't just give him a chance. If he didn't get hurt, I mean, why? Like, why is he gone?
Why WWE? Why?
Politics.
Yes,
It's all about
exactly.
politics. It's about certain guys that are afraid of losing their spot. Is what it comes down to.
I just don't understand it. You know, to me, I wrestling was getting so stale to me on a national scale, and you know, I just felt like he was the guy I looked forward to seeing. I remember when he came back to yell at Regal after Regal became the King of the Ring.
Correct.
And I was just sitting there like, and Regal was giving his boring speech, and all the fans are going, what, you know, doing a Steve Austin thing, and all of a sudden Kennedy comes out. I'm going to jump off my couch. I'm like, Kennedy's back, yes, you know, and it's just, I don't get it, you know.
My favorite Kennedy moment was WrestleMania with Kim Kardashian. That was the best.
What about Money in the Bank, where he gave Hornswoggle the
the Packer plunge?
Yeah, then it's the Green Bay plunge.
The Lambeau leap or whatever they.
No, obviously our favorite, Damien. We saw him win Money in the Bank right from our seats.
Well, I mean, you guys are kind of partial too, because he's a Wisconsin guy, right?
You're absolutely right.
It's not necessarily why I'm partial.
I'll fess up.
You know, I'll admit that I watched Kamikaze Ken Anderson in Mid-American Wrestling as he was the heavyweight champion, but the guy's entertaining.
I'm from Philly. I'm partial anytime any ex-ECW alum gets screwed over, so it's okay.
See, you understand, Aaron.
Yes, I understand very much.
Well,
but,
Aaron,
you guys are doing a great job, and I'm a huge fan. I'm loving the message boards, and I'm totally going to put you guys over right now.
Good.
The forums are great.
And the Chatosphere?
I haven't experienced the Chatmosphere, but I do post them in the shout box once in a while.
Okay. But Aaron, you know what it's called? It's the Chatmosphere. Well, Aaron, again, we appreciate all of our listeners and all of our viewers, and don't forget PWR TV as well. Wednesdays at pwrshow.com and Fridays on Time Warner Cable Channel 14 here in southeastern Wisconsin. Over 10 years on the air. There's not another show that brings you weekly radio, 2 hours of radio, weekly television, and all kinds of other updates, and a free website that pays you back at pwrshow.com. Let's talk about a couple of news items as we get ready to take a couple more phone calls. The phone lines are, thank God the phones got fixed. Let's just say that. We came in here today and found out we weren't going to be able to take phone calls.
We appreciate
and I walked off the project, literally,
the
for 5 minutes.
man came through for us.
Yeah, he hooked it up. Dragon, what is his name again?
Warren.
Thank you, Warren, if you're listening.
He's listening.
There's no doubt. He was watching the main event of Raw with us. News desk. MTV was at a Boise, Idaho TNA house show, or will be at a Boise, Idaho TNA house show.
What was
filming,
MTV doing in Boise?
If you let me continue with the news desk, I'll go ahead and answer that for you. Filming the television show called Made with AJ Styles and the Beautiful People, seemingly part of a long-running project AJ has been working on with MTV. The ratings for last week, which we hate to report, but we'll do so because a lot of you care. Raw got a 3.2, SmackDown with a 1.7, Impact with a 1.2, Superstars, the 0.8, and ECW with a 1.1 rating. TNA has announced that they're going to return to the United Kingdom in January of 2010. Those shows are going to run from January 23rd all the way through January 30th. John Tolos, who many of you may remember as the coach, as a wrestling manager in World Wrestling Entertainment several years ago, passed away last week, so our condolences, of course, go out to his family. Let's continue to the phone lines here at the Pro Wrestling Report. You can join in by calling 276-ESPN or 1-800-990-ESPN. We've got Terry and Waukesha on line 1.
Gentlemen, good evening. How are we this evening?
Terry?
Hey, Terry.
Kind of a couple quick points about Ken Kennedy. I think it's a shame. I think Kennedy was a real talent. Again, WWE has done it before. It leaves me scratching my head of why they do what they do, but you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to get upset over it. It's nice to see that Kennedy will be able to go out and apply his trade in other federations. And I've been hearing all these people call up and say, well, TNA is not the same, and yada, yada, yada. Okay, we can all understand that TNA is not the same as WWE. WWE is a multi-million-dollar corporation. They've built themselves up over many, many years. Let's just get over it. Stop comparing the two. Even though TNA is, you know, I like.
But Raw gets better ratings, Terry.
Right. I don't care. I mean, you guys know me. I've called here. I've called this show a million times. I probably call every single week. You know me. I've told you my opinion about WWE. I watch it because I'm a wrestling fan, but if anybody asks me if I like it, Not really. I haven't liked what Vince McMahon has done in many, many years. And, this is coming from a guy, when I first got into wrestling when I was 16, guys, I was the biggest Hulk Hogan fan in the entire world until I one day I turned on NWA Wrestling from Atlanta, Jim Crockett Promotions, and saw Dusty Rhodes do an interview. After that point...
The Dweem?
Did he talk about his belly welly?
Yeah. So, and, I wish Kennedy luck. I hope to God that he goes out on the indie circuit or TNA or wherever he goes, builds himself back up. I'm sure he'll be back in WWE one of these days. So all you fans who go like, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, they all come back to WWE one day. The day that I'm going to get upset is when AJ Styles or Samoa Joe or Christopher Daniels or somebody like that goes to WWE and gets buried.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to happen.
Yep.
And to me, there needs to be diversity in wrestling. We have ROH, we have TNA, we have WWE, you have all the independents out there. You have wrestling from Japan, you have wrestling from Mexico. It's got all that stuff, guys. So, internet wrestling community, go find something else. If Kennedy ticks you off that much, he's not there, go find something else to watch.
And hopefully Kennedy will resurface in one of the major wrestling companies over the course of the next few months. Terry from Waukesha, thank you so much for that call.
Thanks
Dave
a lot,
Hero.
guys.
Speaking of Terry and Waukesha, Blizzard Brawl 4 was at the Waukesha County Expo Center, but GLCW's Rumble on June 12th is coming back downtown Milwaukee.
At the ICC, the Italian Community Center, we got the big main event, Rikishi and Scotty 2 Hotty against Kip James. He's formerly known as Billy Gunn. And Armando Estrada, you got Al Snow against Val Venus for the GLCW title. Val Venus can use the name Val Venus because he does own that name, by the way.
He's a smart man, by the way. A staunch Republican.
Yes, he is.
And a matter of fact, I believe going to be running for office down the road in Canada, eh?
Oh.
I'd like to do a debate with Val.
You know what? We got to get Val on here. It'd be a great interview.
He'd probably shut me down.
I will tell him that he has to top the Al Snow, 96-minute interview?
Al Snow went 47 minutes.
47 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah, we can do that.
And there was only about 14 minutes of it I still don't understand.
And then we got
no, I understood that there was only 14 minutes of the show that we actually did without without Al.
But for more information, go to blizzardbrawl.com. It has all the information, including tickets and meet and greet information and whatnot. And going to be a great show next Friday night, June 12th.
Is that the next sighting of Frank Cosentino?
The Cos.
Yeah.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. When we come back, we're going to talk about WWE's Extreme Rules on pay-per-view this Sunday.
Can you dig it, sucker?
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN, ESPNMilwaukee.com, and PWRShow.com. Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead, and Dave Hero here live Monday night, June 1st, 2009. What a show we've had so far. And we came back with that music because if you haven't seen it already, you make sure you check out our exclusive interview with Booker T, available on last week's edition of PWR Primetime. Booker T had a lot to say about TNA, had a lot to say about the difference between TNA and WWE. That's available at PWRShow.com right now. And if you didn't see the interviews that led up to that, Abyss, Daniels, Hernandez, all very candid comments exclusively from the Pro Wrestling Report at PWRShow.com and our television edition in glorious high definition. Speaking of TV this week, Meathead, we've got the 2009 Pro Wrestling Report Fantasy Draft, but leading up to that, where we picked 15 names from everyone on the available rosters of each company, we've got to pick our broadcast teams. Are you really
try
ready?
with the mic on.
Yeah, turn the mic on.
I'm not in charge of the board, even though technically I hit the button. But that's okay, Dragon. I got it. But Damien, I'm ready. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Sure. Go right. No, you go ahead and go first.
Okay.
Nice
sure
guys
that
finish
maybe
fast. I'm the nice guy.
Anyways,
I
my
gotta
broadcast.
work on the stream.
Yeah, I'm working on a stream right now too. I'm getting upset. I'm getting hot, Dave. I'm hot.
Then say it.
I'm
You're
hot.
Say you're hot.
You sure it wasn't those Asian Zing wings earlier? Let's bust out Dave Hero on that. He's always talking about these dang on Asian Zing wings.
Asian Zing, BW3.
I'm about the Caribbean jerk. I'm always about the Caribbean jerk.
Oh,
You like what you like. You like what you like.
Thanks. It is what it is. Anyway, I think I'm going to go with Jim Ross and Michael Cole.
Sorry to hear that. And
JR
my
and
broadcast
Michael Cole.
team, good old JR. My broadcast team is, you know what?
Very unoriginal.
I'm going to go with Tenay and West. I can't believe I'm saying it, but
I can't believe you're being unoriginal.
I'm going with Tenay and West. And this is, again, a preview of the PWR Draft which is this Wednesday, going to be available at pwrshow.com. We picked 15 names of the general manager for our fantasy draft season, which kicks off this week at pwrshow.com.
I do have to throw in
real Heenan and Monsoon.
Now, they had to be currently active on a roster, which means currently participating in the product somewhere.
I do have to go with...
It's Frank's rules, not mine.
Frank's not here.
I'm kayfabing you.
Anyways, I'm lost. Damien, go.
Hey, WWE Extreme Rules is this Sunday on pay-per-view.
Blast area.
Go down the
Let's
list
go to a
of
blast area
matches.
and watch it.
For the first time since 1996, December of 1996, Hershey Park Arena, Hershey, Pennsylvania. It was in your house. It was a hog pen match between Triple H and Henry Godwin.
HOG.
Real hogs and real hog crap in that matchup. Well, we're going to see it again. The only thing extreme about this is how extremely ridiculous it is.
You know what will be great, though, is if Vicky actually wears sleeves.
It's Santina.
Because she's got to wear sleeves. Tonight, sleeves. And you know what? She looked a little bit more attractive.
It's Santina Morella versus Vicky Guerrero with Chavo Guerrero.
And hopefully sleeves.
Samoan strap match. Umaga will take on CM Punk in a submission match, a rematch from Judgment Day. Big Show taking on John Cena. A no-holds-barred match, another rematch from Judgment Day. Rey Mysterio will take on Chris Jericho. Extreme Rules match for the ECW Championship. Christian versus Jack Swagger with an add-in of Tommy Dreamer, whose contract expires the day before the pay-per-view. He has signed a one-day extension, we're told, to work the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Wait. You know, that's not the first WWE contract to end the night before the pay-per-view. Didn't Jeff Jarrett?
Jarrett in China, 1999. Yeah. And Jeff Jarrett's DVD tells a great story about that situation. I'm not sure if he told the whole story, by the way.
He told his side of the story.
He told his side of the story, which was very favorable to, well,
Double J.
It was interesting. You got to watch it. It was a good piece of that DVD. A ladder match featuring Edge versus Jeff Hardy, and a steel cage match, Randy Orton versus Batista. And WWE wants $40 for that. So,
45 in high definition.
For those few that pay that much, yeah.
You know, I've mentioned it before, but like I said, if John Cena makes the Big Show tap, Big Show just needs to go away. Big Show has to beat John Cena. There's no way a guy 500-plus pounds would ever submit to John Cena.
Well, Dave, this is the fantasy world of world
I
wrestling
understand that, you know, John Cena also made Umaga tap out. And the Great Khali. But the Big Show is the Big Show.
We've got one last phone call to take here on this program. We've been waiting patiently from Chicago. Gianni, you are live on the Pro Wrestling Report at 540 ESPN.
Hey, guys. I just had two quick questions, or, well, statements, more likely.
Okay.
Well, my first one was on Kennedy. I heard a guy
Kennedy!
Talking about how a lot of people were saying they see a lot of Stone Cold in him. I know you can ask anybody that I've talked to about Kennedy. I've always said he reminds me of The Rock. With his charisma, the way he presents himself, the cocky attitude. You know, it's like when The Rock first became popular, he was like that. If you remember.
Yeah, no, we remember. Okay, that's a good point.
And my second point was with it deals with Vince and Linda. I watched the video of Linda saying how SmackDown was a good show the other week or whatever. I personally think, and I know a few of my friends think, that it's time for Vince and Linda to give it up. I think I even wrote on the forum that they let Vince and Linda out 3 days a week to run the company out of their retirement home. You know,
well, but every good company, every great company has a great guiding force behind it. I think that even as maniacal as he may seem to be at times, I think Vince McMahon, think of a WWE, truly think of a WWE without Vince McMahon. There hasn't been a World Wrestling Federation without Vince McMahon since 1982, basically.
Mm-hmm. No, there wouldn't be. Yeah, you're right. There wouldn't be a WWE without Vince, but now, or without his guiding light and creative genius or whatever the hell he talks about.
And insanity.
That too. But, he could still be like a guiding light. Just that, give it to Shane or Paul, whoever you want to give it to, who's more in touch with what we want to see. I haven't missed a Raw in the last 12 years. I have made sure I do not miss it. But the way it's been the last few months, I'm not going to, if I miss the beginning or I miss most of it, I don't care. It's that bad.
You know what? We were talking before the show, and for fear of being labeled what I've been labeled the last couple of weeks for the Backstreet Boys, there was one wrestling show I was looking forward to watching last week. One.
And it wasn't a WWE product.
It was TNA Impact. And I got to tell you, they did a lot of great things on Impact last week, especially the AJ Styles introduction, which was pay-per-view quality.
And it was thrown in the middle of the show. There was no hype to it, nothing.
No, not at all, but it was very well done. It was like 2 minutes of TV, but it was very well done. But that's the problem with TNA at times as well. That's the kind of stuff they need to be doing on Bound for Glory. And that's not the stuff we see at that. Gianni, we're out of time. Thank you so much for calling into the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. We want to take this opportunity to welcome all of our new visitors to PWRshow.com, our new listeners to the show, new viewers of the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time. Again, all that is available at no charge from PWRshow.com. And we'll be live again with you next Monday night right here on this very station again. And you're always welcome to call and be a part of the Pro Wrestling Report. We've got to refer to the chatmosphere at PWRshow.com, where user by the name of, I had it bookmarked here and I lost it. I really hate technology sometimes, says to us, basically the quote was, Dave Hero, you have to remember, John Cena is Superman.
No, he's not. Not even close.
And that's funny that it goes right to Hero.
A mark here.
Yeah.
Who are you a mark for, Dave Hero? The person who goes down to Six Flags Great America and walks in the shop just to buy Superman stuff and then walks out?
Exactly.
What kind of tattoo you got on your arm?
Superman.
Oh,
hey, that makes two of us in this studio. Who can pick the other person? See if the atmosphere can get that. They have Superman tattoos. One of them has, great biceps and,
3 minutes and we're out of here.
Now, this Extreme Rules match, a submission match between Cena and Big Show. How can you get more extreme than being thrown through a 7,000-watt light bulb?
You're right, yeah. That may have to happen again.
Unless you're going to put them through,
Who takes the big bump of the night?
Jeff Hardy.
No, it's got to be one of the younger guys. It's going to be one of the younger guys.
Well, here's a perfect opportunity to add a match, and maybe we'll see it happen either on Superstars this week or over the course of the weekend. Kofi and MVP in a rematch.
Yeah, but who wants to see those two guys beat each other up? It's two baby faces.
Yeah.
Well,
were you against Warrior Hogan at WrestleMania 6 because they're two baby faces? Were you against Rock Hogan at WrestleMania 18?
You are now comparing
two baby faces?
Kofi Kingston.
No,
and
not that
to
way.
Rock and Hogan and
not that way.
Okay.
Oh,
all right.
Listen, I was comparing the situation.
Okay. I don't want to see that match. I like MVP, talented guy.
I'm telling you right now, there's not a match on there I want to see.
No?
There's absolutely not a match.
I'm going to watch the pay-per-view because I am a broadcast journalist.
And I have to watch the pay-per-view because I have to know what's going on. But there is not a single match on there that I am interested in seeing. Not
Are we
one.
on Sunday or Monday now with the pay-per-view? Sunday.
It depends. NBA always,
we plan to be on next Monday. But the battle begins, and you can vote at PWRshow.com for which pay-per-view this month is the better one, whether it be WWE Extreme Rules or TNA Sacrifice coming up June 21st.
GLC Rumble's not in
You
there?
also have the opportunity at PWRshow.com to vote for the TV show of the week. Last week's results, 59.7% of the Internet wrestling community feels that TNA Impact was the better show. A distant front-runner from Raw, which had 18.9%, SmackDown with 18.2%. And again, those are the votes. That's what you said. This has been the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN, PWRshow.com, and ESPNMilwaukee.com. For Dave Hero, the cause of the man they call Meathead, Damian Nelson saying thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.